I'll burn the pancakes and probably the house too, but baby, it's stuck to me like glue.
Hello, everybody. Good day, and welcome to Reflections of Evelyn. This is a real treat. Thanks for listening and giving this time and attention and energy. I really hope you're getting some really good bits out of this, some spicy meatballs. That's the hope, at least. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about opinions about how life works, how life works for you and building foundations. So I'll start with, I'm sitting over here right now at this hospital, waiting for work. And it's been fascinating. I go through the loading dock and I've been seeing this construction in the parking lot for so many months. And for a long time, it was just clearing this pavement and taking out all the debris and all of this kind of the gravel and the dirt, and there were so many blockages and people couldn't come in and out, and it was kind of a big fat pain. And I was like, dang, I can't believe how long it takes just to build a structure, especially in the beginning. And then one day I go to work and I'm here every week, right? And one day I come over and boom, they're building a structure. I'm seeing steel pipes and you can see that it's 2 stories so far, and they're kind of already starting to take form. And I'm thinking what? I was just here. It was just flat ground. And all of a sudden there's a structure up. And I think it's kind of symbolic, at least for me, that life can be so much about, pulling out the weeds, laying the foundation down, taking out all the gunk. And it really does require a solid foundation that takes a lot of time and meticulous planning to make sure that that foundation is solid so that you can build a healthy structure that is meant to last several decades. And I kind of took that in my own life and thought, man, I'm doing a lot of weed clearing in my life. I can think of 4 people in my life that I've had to say goodbye to. And it was tough because saying goodbye or acknowledging that it's not working, and this is friends or guys that I tried dating or, situationships, whatever you want to call them. And it feels on one hand like you're doing something wrong. You're rejecting someone, whether it's intentional or not. You are telling someone something is not working, and it sounds bad. It sounds mean. It sounds harsh. And you would think, well, that doesn't feel right in my soul or in my heart. Aren't I supposed to keep these people around because that's the right thing to do? Or, you want to be a good person? Or shouldn't I be helping them out more? I know it's not my job, but some of them are broken or dysfunctional or sad or lonely. Shouldn't I be that solid person in their life? And that's a very complicated place to be, because on one hand, I'm not their mothers. I'm not their therapists. Sometimes they need mothers and therapists. Sometimes they need better friends in their life. And I think it comes to a point where, you can only do so much that's within your control. And I'm not going to say it's your job or responsibility to be a good person or whatever, but enabling is a thing, you can only do so much for someone. And if they're not in a place to be receptive and to try to do the work for themselves, or they're not curious about it, I have noticed it doesn't matter how much you love them or how much you care for them, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it until it resonates with them. They may love you, they may care for you, they may want the best for you, but it still might not be working out. And so I find it interesting that I've spent the last couple weeks trying to stand up for myself, trying to tell some of these guys, this isn't okay. This isn't working. We've been trying. And I'm saying, like, even on a friend level, a lot of it has to do with just respect and not seeing eye to eye on certain topics. And it got so frustrating for so long because I was dealing with so much stress that I was coming to find out, like, yeah, I've got a lot of life stressors, but a lot of the stress was just trying to fix it. It's my fix-it personality where I want to make something better. And some things are truly out of your control. And the more you try to fix something that isn't ready to be fixed or is far past broken, there's really only so much you can do, right? So like I said, I've been I've been picturing like, taking out the weeds, I'm picturing like that lawnmower and I'm going through and I'm chopping down weeds. I'm clearing the debris out of my life. And I really don't like saying it like that, but that is kind of what I'm doing, right? And some people kind of talk about this trope. I don't think I've really ever noticed it for myself until recently. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but one thing I've noticed is, yes, I am feeling a little bit less stressed. I am kind of still off and on nicotine, and I had to talk to my therapist about it, and she was definitely not as critical as I was. But even with my nicotine intake, I noticed, okay, leave it at home. You're not going to have it at all while you're working. You're not going to have it for that length of time. And I'm at work right now, and my heart's not pounding. I'm not like, where's my vape? Where's my vape? I got to have it on me. And I'm like, that's interesting because my nervous system is calm. And if you think of vices like nicotine or cannabis or alcohol, if you feel like you need a drink, if you feel like you need nicotine, it's like if you stop and say, well, why do I need this? Why do I need a puff? Why am I stressed? Why am I exhausted? Why does my head hurt? Why am I nauseated? It seems very simple when you put it in those terms, but oftentimes you're going and then you get into the habit, right? Well, it's nice to be able to enjoy occasional nicotine without it having to be overboard. And I'm like, wow, I'm surprised. Like I'm calm and I'm okay and I'm doing well. So that's good. I am still trying to not make a habit of smoking it that often. I think this vape is more trying to challenge myself to smoke way less and not just say, you're never going to have it ever again. Like if I was an alcoholic in an AA meeting, like they're not even allowed to have one, And I think that's what kind of makes it difficult for me sometimes when I try to quit is thinking, oh, you got to smoke a bunch because you're never going to smoke again for the rest of your life. And that's a lot harder to kind of deal with. So I'm happy it's not on me and I'm not worried about it. And I actually do have a little bit of a cute story to talk to you about. So I'm clearing these weeds. I swear it's all connected. I'm clearing these weeds. I have this guy, that I've been friends with for a couple years, and I care for him so deeply, but he's got so much work that it's not that you can't support someone, but if someone doesn't let you in or want the support or want the love, then there's really not much you can do. And I feel like I've been in a situation where I've wanted to show this guy a lot of love and support and goodness. And I don't think he has a lot of like solid people in his life, but he doesn't want that. And I think he just kind of wants to grind away and be miserable. And unfortunately, he is an avoidant. So, he's kind of like, oh yeah, my brother died 2 months ago. I'm fine. Everything's good. Like, me, like, I'm good. I'm fine. Everything's good. And I'm like, bro, you're not fine. Let's talk about that. But he can't, right? So anyways, it's been back and forth for a while, and he's had some of my stuff that he said he was going to sell because he's like obsessed with selling things, and said it was so easy and he's so good at it. And I was like, great, sell some of my stuff. And turns out he's like, didn't at all. And it's been at his house for like, God, almost like 2 years, and he hasn't sold one thing. And it's been very frustrating to me. So I told him, I was like, look, things aren't working out. And I think for a while, he hasn't been giving me my stuff back because I think he knows that if I have my stuff back, like I'm not going to really be reaching out. And I think him holding on to my stuff psychologically meant that he was still in my life. And I think he was avoiding the inevitable. So, hopefully if he actually keeps his word and links up, hopefully I'll be able to get all my stuff back, and hopefully I'll be able to make some money and try to sell some of my old stuff. I'm such a minimalist, so I have like no room for anything in my place. And hopefully I will be as mature and graceful about it and just tell him like, hey, even though I really care for you, like, the situation where it's at right now can't stay the same. It just can't. So another guy, and I talked about this in a previous episode, we just did not see eye to eye on some things. And I showed my friend some of the conversations, and he's like, Evelyn, this guy didn't even care about what you were going through. From the get-go, it was only sex for him. And, he could say whatever he wants, but this is not the type of guy that you're looking for. And I went on a rampage with him the other day, and I was like, I know, but if I'm going to be single for the next 5 or 10 years or however long it takes for me to find these guys, like I have needs, but I wasn't able to, I don't know, like I care too much about connection, and it's been difficult. So anyways, I had to say no to that guy, and we're not even going to get into all the things, One was, living he was living a unique kind of lifestyle, one that could have been dangerous for me. And I think for the sake of his safety and my safety and the well-being of the life that I've been working towards, it was not a good fit. So I had to say no to that one. And even one was a friend, No, one was not a friend. One was me trying to be a good person and be a friend to somebody that I didn't really enjoy being around. And that wasn't good for either of us. And then I think the last one is, my ex that I've talked to you guys about obnoxiously way too many times. And I think with that one, I've had to just kind of consistently tell myself, I get it. You see that he's in pain. You see that he's struggling, and you love him unconditionally, but your feelings matter too. And you can't carry the relationship for both of you guys. And that is a very hard lesson to learn when you love someone. And it's not so much like, oh, I didn't think I'm worthy and deserving of love. That's definitely not what it is. It's just hard when you love someone who's not in the same place as you. And you can't force that process. And you can't, at least in my experience, you can't talk it through them, because if it's not clicking and if they're not ready, what's that expression? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I mean, it's so very true. You can plant seeds, and over time that might help them, but the rest is really up to them. So my point is, I've been doing all these clearing of the weeds, and trying to put myself in a position where I'm finding more healthy, solid friendships and relationships. And I would say in the last couple weeks, it has been a very, it's like you don't notice it until after the fact, but little by little, things were kind of just working out in my favor in the department of friendships and relationships. I reconnected with a friend a couple weeks ago, and he was like my best friend in high school. And we've been talking almost every day. And I kept thinking to myself, wow, I can't believe how supportive he is and communicative he is and interested and curious he is. And these are all normal, rational things. But I haven't been in that environment for so long where it's like I'm hanging out with, or was hanging out with these people that were simply not good for me. And we would get into arguments because I knew what was healthy. I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't understand, well, Evelyn, you want those things, but you can't have that with these people. No matter if you want it or not, that decision is not up to you. And I just kept feeling weird, like, oh, this is strange. Why is he nice? Why is he kind? Why is he not saying that he's busy? And oh, he is busy, but he's making time. And it was just so foreign to me. It's not foreign because I want that kind of relationship, but it was foreign because it wasn't something I've really had in a long time. And I think with my fix-it personality, my therapist was kind of mentioning to me that, it's not that I like or am gravitated to these bad guys. It's that I think a lot of these guys are broken or dysfunctional or really struggling. And then they think that I'm that kind of person that's going to help them. But, if they're not putting in the work, I can't do that. But yeah, I do have a tendency of finding these guys that need a lot of work. And it's tough when you want to date some of them, or even if you want to sleep with some of them, or even just be friends with them. But again, I was clearing the weeds and my friendships were getting better. And the friend I reconnected with, he has a wife and she and I have a ton in common. And so we opened up a group chat and now I'm talking to her a little bit and hopefully we'll go on some really awesome hikes together. And then I thought to myself, well, wow, this is a double bonus. I've reconnected with a friend and I now have a girlfriend in my life, which is really exciting. Those two things were subtle, but they were there and they were important. And I was very happy about it. And then yesterday I was hanging out with my friend and I was kind of helping him with his oil change. And we were talking a lot about, relationship and friendship dynamics. And it's funny how life is because he's been trying to give me some advice and show me a different perspective and try to tell me, like I was telling him, I think the mindset that I've been in for a while is nobody wants to date, nobody wants to have kids, nobody wants to be in relationships. Everyone wants to be alone and single and use their toys and not really appreciate human connection. And he tried to remind me that that was a mindset and not necessarily reality. Because in my head, I was thinking, oh, there's like 20% of people that want all the things and appreciate that I want. And 80% of the world is just chaos and shit. And I had to kind of remind myself and be told from someone else, like, no, that's not necessarily how the world is. And if I'm viewing it that way, or if that's in the kind of circle that I'm in, then I'm in the wrong circle. And so I feel a lot more positive that, the things that I want and need and desire are out there, and that my math is a little skewed. It's not, I know the whole like, oh, diamond in the rough principle, or, it takes a long time to find a good one. But I'm noticing that, there is a lot of beauty out there. And it was challenging for me for a long time because I was like, it shouldn't be this hard to meet quality people. It shouldn't be this hard to connect with people on a human level. Why are these moments so rare? And I can't say what I don't know, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but I do notice that the different approaches that I've taken in my life to kind of get rid of all that extra gunk, I guess you could call it, was helpful, right? So I was supposed to help my friend with his Vespa after he was done with his oil change, and ended up getting late, and he decided to work on it himself. And my other friend was like, "You should join Field. I think that's more of the dating app that's your speed." And the website was all glitchy, and I was on it for maybe an hour and a half, and I was like, okay, this is better, but still nothing. Like, I was getting frustrated, and I'm kind of in a place in my life where I'm like, well, this is the next thing that I'm trying to work on, is finding a partner. And I do think the thing that's kind of cool about that app is, it's like you don't have to guess what people want. They're full on telling you what they want. And so they're pretty much genuine about it, because they don't feel like they have to kind of beat around the bush, which is very refreshing. But the app kept like glitching on me, and it was so slow, and it was taking me 10 times as long to like look for people, because the app, there was like a 5-second delay with every person I was looking at. And I was like, you know what, I'll go back on Facebook dating app. Like, this is my efforts. This is me trying, while I could spend some time petting my cat and keeping chill. I didn't want to go out and spend some money and, look for somebody that way. That usually like never works in my situation. So then I go on Facebook dating app, which I actually do think is one of the better apps, surprisingly, in my case, to look for somebody. I don't know why that would be. Hopefully you don't hear this construction, although maybe in the sidelines you're like, oh yes, this is progress being built. Anyways, so I went back on Facebook dating app, and I swiped a couple times, and then I see this guy, and there were so many things I was thinking. One is, okay, this is weird. This guy doesn't have a bio. All he has is a pumpkin emoji. And if you guys are recalling episode 8, which I seem to refer to all the time, I'm like, I don't like Halloween. Like, ugh, why does this guy have to have a pumpkin emoji? Like, why is that the center of his life kind of attitude? Like, I was getting all like annoyed. But, and it's interesting, because normally I completely swipe no on guys that don't really have a lot of info on their bio. But, I'll admit, I don't really see a lot of guys that I'm like attracted to online, or, it's one thing I swipe on is attraction. Two is kind of just like a vibe check. And I've been around the block enough to know, like, between their bio, how they dress, how they act, the things that they're saying, they're all little kind of context clues of what to look out for. So my vetting process is, pretty streamlined by now. And it was weird to me that, like, I've made comments in the past, like, oh, this guy's like, kind of cute, but he doesn't have bio. Next, just because, like, that kind of stuff's important. Like, do you have something to say? Why are you here? But the way this guy kind of looked and his vibe kind of made it seem like there was more that met the eye. And in his pictures, at least, he was very attractive. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I love this guy's style. So I hearted it, which is very rare for me to match with anybody. And I guess he had liked me back. I don't know if it was that he was in my likes and I was going through my likes, or if I saw him naturally. I don't really remember. It feels like a haze. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because it was within moments where we started talking, which is very much unlike any of the other times that I have been communicating with anybody on an app. And towards the end of the night, I think we texted on the platform for close to an hour, maybe 45 minutes. And then towards the end, I was like, well, should we move this to texting? And Then we talked there for a while, and then, he basically was like, okay, well, what's your schedule like? Yeah, weekends work for me. Let's get together and let's plan a date for the weekend. And then he's like, we can also text and call each other during the week to get to know each other. And my first reaction, not my first, but one of my reactions was he used the word date. This guy's admitting he wants to go on a date. This guy's okay with dating. What a concept. I was like, I've met guys on dating apps and they're like, no. And I'm like, what are you doing on here? Anyways, people have various reasons for why they do the things that they do. But the fact that this guy was like, no, let's plan a date. I was like, dang, that's cool. And so this is the first day I've been talking to him. And I'm like, wow, this guy's communicative. And he's like, hey, if I'm not texting, it's because I'm busy, but I respond when I can. And I'm thinking, dude, you are light years better at texting than any person I've been talking to in the last, 3.5 years. And I can't say what I don't know. I haven't met him in person. And it's funny when you talk about dating apps because, of course, everyone's like, do they look like their pictures? And he said his photos were up to date and his 3 pictures I saw were very, very handsome and very attractive. And then he sent me a picture and a text and I was like, I'm not quite sure about this one. And so it's funny that when I went to bed that night, I had this kind of stress dream that I told him about. I told him part of it, but I basically was terrified in the dream. The dream was I was meeting him for the first time and he had all these crazy roommates. And somehow he was the crazier one. And I was just trying to leave the house to find some normalcy. And I told him it was funny that as I was typing that out, I was like, okay, I'm seeing the message and the psychology of the dream here. But I'm trying to do my best to, see someone for more than the physical. I'm also trying to work on establishing a connection without, immediately having things get kind of sexual. Because I think in my world, it's that's common, that's familiar, that's normal. And it's okay, if there's something to fall back on, you just do that. And it would always be kind of immediate with me. And I know for me, this is the first time in a long time where I'm going to be like, Evelyn, go on a date, hang out with him a couple times. Don't make this be physical. Don't touch him. Don't look at him funny. Don't do anything abnormal. This guy seems like a really nice guy. Don't do it. And of course, with my background and realizing how triggered I was, obviously this is bringing a lot of things out of me. But when I asked him what he was looking for, he said something reciprocal. He said something not just physical, but a connection. And in my head, my first thought was, damn it, another guy that has intimacy issues. He doesn't want to be physical. What am I doing with this guy? I can have a deep and meaningful connection with you, but watch this be that guy that can't be physical. And I'm like, Evelyn, slow down. That doesn't mean that. Chill out. But yeah, I've had this really weird disparity where I'm either with guys and that's all they want, or I'm with guys and they have a huge intimacy phobia, complete phobia, are deathly afraid of it. And I've been in a relationship where that was a very, very, very big problem, where it was okay, we got to put it on the calendar. Are you okay with having sex this day and making love this day? Can we make an effort to touch each other's bodies? I remember being in a relationship where we had to put sex on a calendar. And I'm like, if you're putting sex on the calendar, you're not in a good spot. So, it's funny. I'm in a new place now. I'm in a different place, and I feel like this is my redemption act, and I'm given another chance to try it again. Which means it's nerve-wracking, Obviously, when you work on yourself, it brings a lot out of you. And I'm noticing a lot of the thoughts that I'm having, and a lot of trained beliefs and grooming that has just been kind of chipped away at me over time. And, even if I'm having a disagreement with a guy about treating me better, it doesn't mean that over time, that type of like verbiage and abuse and manipulation or dishonesty, that feeds into your brain. And so I'm going to make a concerted effort to try this one differently and not do it in the same way that I did it in the past. And I'm very nervous. Like, I've been wanting to go on a date for years and years and years. And this is the first one in years and years and years. And it's on the books, and it seems to be going in the direction of actually happening it. And I want to not self-sabotage it, and I want to give it a chance, and I want to not judge a book by its cover, and I want to see where it goes. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that one. But I think this message was more about allowing opportunities to come into your life. And I was so go, 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 grind, 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 that I was in this mindset where I was like, I believe the universe can do amazing, incredible things, but why aren't they? And it's that stupid, silly trope where I started noticing that I had a lot of errors when I was sending text messages. And I was like, why am I sending errors? This didn't used to be a thing. I was the girl that would make fun of people with errors. And then I realized, I'm like, Evelyn, you need to slow down. You got to slow down, and you won't be making these errors. You got to slow down, or you won't even be able to notice or be receptive of the gifts and blessings and miracles and opportunities that can come into your life. Yes, the universe is probably as big and grand as you make it be, and that life is, literally anything can happen. But if you are not going slow enough to see it and view it, you are still human at the end of the day, and that kind of stuff is going to take time. So slow down in every category of your life. And I'm saying yours, but it's mine, and hopefully you relate. Work less, take on less tasks, go a little bit slower when you're sending your messages or your emails. And if you're thinking, well, I got to send it out now, right now, I got to go do this thing. Well, then something is not working in your life, and something needs to be adjusted, because we are human. We are not robots. And we got to give ourselves time to take care of ourselves, because we aren't invincible. And one day we will die. And it's more about quality of life and longevity, and not dying of a heart attack or a stroke at 40 or 50. So these are like the little lessons that I'm learning for myself. I should say being reminded of. And I'm curious to see where life goes. But I just wanted to send this message of hope to you, and hope that some of this resonates with you. And I hope you put yourself back out there and give yourself another chance. And when things aren't working, maybe do a little adjustment and say, well, why isn't this working? What isn't working in my life? Am I mad at the traffic right now? Or am I mad because I don't have enough work right now, or work is a struggle and I'm fighting with my boss? It's not about the traffic. It's not about the person next to me. It's about something else bigger that's going on, So that's it. I really appreciate you guys for giving this a listen, and I'd love to know if this makes sense to you. I really liked my little construction analogy. I'm not the first person that has brought this up, but let me know what that looks like for you. What kind of foundation do you want to lay down for yourself? And when you're clearing out the rubble and the debris, what does that look like for you? Who or what in your life is the debris and the rubble that is stopping your structure to be built and be successful and be sturdy and be stable? I'm going to end right there. I love you guys a lot. Take care.
All right, it's your turn. Let's do this. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. Spend a little time with me, and maybe you will see just temporarily fall